Hi and welcome. I'm Weiser Cornell, and this is a webinar on when hell is other people. We have the interesting paradox that we absolutely need other people. We are born in a world of interaction, and we need interaction all our lives. Especially as someone who lives in an urban area, I depend on so many people for my food, my electricity, my shelter. We are always in interaction with other people. And yet, other people can be one of the most challenging areas of life as well. And that's the mystery. The joke in the title comes from Jean-Paul Sartre, who said, hell is other people, l'enfer c'est les autres in French. And I must say that looking at my own life, I see many ways in which that's been true. As I was growing up, my relationship, especially with my father, was very difficult. I wanted him to love me, approve of me, pay attention to me, and that never seemed to happen in the way that I longed for. Inside me, that turned into a longing to be loved and a belief that I couldn't be loved. You know, it couldn't be his fault, so it must be that I wasn't lovable. I wasn't cute enough, beautiful enough. That affected many relationships from then on until that began to heal from the focusing process. In school, I often felt like an outsider, like there were popular kids and then there was me. And I didn't understand. It seemed like other people knew how to dress, how to behave. I didn't understand why they treated me the way they did. And then after I grew up and I was in a profession, there would often be situations where I'd come in feeling, am I good enough? Are they judging me? Are they evaluating me? Am I going to come up to the measure of what's going on here? And in my close relationships, including 2 marriages and the long relationship I'm in right now, that's the longest of all, that isn't a marriage legally. So much was there. So much was there. Feelings of, I have to hold myself back so this other person doesn't feel bad. Their feelings are my responsibility. There's many things like that. When hell is other people, being fully yourself in a world of others. So this is what I'm asking you right now. Whatever is your situation with other people right now, what would you like it to be? And let's take a moment with me right now to ask yourself, in my closest relationships, in my family relationships, in my work relationships, the older generation, the younger generation, every place where things aren't always smooth and easy, what would be great? What would be ideal? Let's all take a moment together. First, just to arrive and feel your body and just kind of be here. Take a breath or two. And then get sort of a feeling for what it's like now. I hope you have many, many great relationships. And probably you're here because there are some relationships and some situations where there's something in the way of being able to have things go smoothly with other people. So letting all of that arrive. Let's just take a moment to ask, what, what would be great? What would be great? Would it be if other people always understand you? Would it be if they listen to you? I'm smiling because although that might be a wish, it's probably not the wish of the whole self. Would it be that you feel free to be yourself, even around other people? Would it be that you have places in your life where you belong? You belong, you feel comfortable and safe with the other people. What would be great? And after doing this exercise myself a number of times, what I keep coming to is I want to be me with you. And I want you to be able to be you with me. So whatever's been coming for you, you might acknowledge it, take note of it. See if you'd like to write it in the chat. Does being able to be you with me resonate for you? Being able to be me with you? Or is it something else? Now, this is the kind of thing I want to talk about today. Perhaps you live or work with someone who drives you crazy with habits that never seem to change. And perhaps you hesitate to speak out in a group meeting because you're worried what other people might think about you. Perhaps other people's emotions pull you in until you feel you have to either put up a wall or spend your time helping them feel better. Perhaps you hide what's deeply true about you for fear you'll be rejected if others see it. Perhaps for whatever reason, when it comes to other people, you find yourself pulling back, closing off, protecting yourself. Well, and that's understandable, but it's also a pity because your relationships with others can be sources of great joy and deep fulfillment. In other words, if hell is other people, so is heaven. So is heaven. And so what I've learned is that other people are our mirrors. They show us ourselves. And they may be showing us the parts of ourselves that we find hard to see. And then when we can take the mirror that we're being shown and spend time with what's being shown to us, we can change. And when we change, the relationships change. Even the other people change. Let me see what people are writing in the chat. I'd like to be me with my children. I want to be me and seen for my full value and appreciated. Lovely. I want to have a flow of mutual trust and respect, a presumption of belonging, that I could accept that I belong. That would be so great. I want to be in the moment. Being seen and welcome, to feel I'm wanted and belong and accepted, and to tolerate the anxiety of being myself until I don't feel the pressure anymore. And it's something about not being able to have such constraints on myself. I think specifically with my twin sister, I'm still playing the role I played from childhood. And to be able to be myself no matter what I feel from the other. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Wanting relationships in which both people can recover and repair from getting triggered. Ah, that is beautiful. Okay. Just wanting it to be easy for us both. wanting to be my authentic, natural self, but that feels hard. Yes. Wow. These are really beautiful and understandable intentions. So today, we're going to explore how to be kind and compassionate to the very parts of us we feel we have to hide from others. And I'm going to do a process for starting with your critical reactions to other people and learning how your critical reactions to other people can be a source of understanding yourself, your needs. And then there's more to know about the origins of our reactions to other people, our anxiety, our fear, and so on. And when we say more about the origins of where all this comes from, perhaps we can feel that it shifts. So, of course, we know that how we react to people now is related to our childhood, especially when we're reacting in a triggered way. You know, you can, even if you didn't know this person in your childhood, probably our triggered reactions, that the feelings that we're reacting in a way that's somehow out of proportion, they relate to a younger time, let's say. It doesn't have to be childhood, but younger than now. And what I believe, this is based on the philosophy of Eugene Gendlin, is that we're born lovable and ready to be loved. So we come into this world with bodies that are ready to be met by other bodies, smiled at, played with, enjoyed, and also fed and held securely and kept warm. That's what our bodies are ready for. Many studies on caregivers and babies, parents and babies and so on, have shown that if babies don't get a certain amount of smiling, playful, mirroring attention, they don't do well. They don't have their next developmental steps. I mean, nobody's perfect. There's no such thing as a childhood where it's always fine. But if persistently you have a parent that is always distracted or always absent, or you're left alone too much, too long, then that stays with you. It becomes part of the fabric of who you feel you are, whether you feel welcome, whether you feel you belong. And the good news is that all of that can change when it's acknowledged. Your body knows what should have happened. You would never have had to doubt that you were loved and you belonged as you are. Your differences would have been enjoyed and drawn on instead of ignored or mocked. Other people would have been interested in your views and feelings, and that can still happen. It's not too late. So what does all that mean? Well, I said that we're going to learn how did I put it? Be kind and compassionate to the very parts of ourselves that we feel we have to hide from others. And that is very powerful. And let's see if we can take a little time to do that together right now. It's lovely how so many people wrote in the chat about being present, being in the moment, being yourself, and being in a mutual relationship where both can be yourselves. I feel touched when I read it. So we're talking about feeling like we have to withdraw from others and hide aspects of ourselves from other people. A little later, we'll get to the thing about being annoyed with others and how to turn that into self-awareness and growth. But let's start with the feeling that you may or may not have, that there's aspects of yourself that you'd better keep hidden, that you'd better hide. Thoughts that you may have, emotions that you may have. When I was growing up, what was appreciated and approved was to be cheerful. And there wasn't really room for more difficult feelings like anger or sadness. I remember the time that I was out on a walk with my dog in the wintertime, and took her off the leash, and a car skidded on the ice, and Trixie got hit and died. I felt it was my fault. I was 9, I think. And pretty quickly, my parents got me a new pet. I don't remember anybody talking to me about being sad or grieving or giving me a space to talk about my feelings. So the way I grew up, all kinds of feelings just didn't feel like there was room for those. They had to be hidden. Or maybe you feel you had to hide your sense of empowerment, your sense of creativity, your sense of growth. Samira's writing in the chat, being born in a South Asian family, from birth we have to prove our worth. From meeting milestones in infancy to academic performance at school to selection of partner for marriage, everything is weighed in terms of meeting parental approval and expectation. And there's no room for personal feelings and emotions. Only the emotions of parents mattered. That sounds really difficult, Samira. And you're not the only one. So each of us has our journey. Each of us has our story, things that were hard in our growing up. And many times, these are stories about how something that was true and real about ourselves wasn't okay. Either we were told specifically it wasn't okay, or when we try to express it, everybody changes the subject. There's no space for something that's really true about us. Certain kinds of sexual feelings, feelings about our gender. What about wanting to be a different profession than your parents, than the profession your parents approved? And so on. Or Helena writes in the chat, having it demanded that you tell your feelings, like you should show how you feel. Great, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, that's also true, that the demand to show how you feel would be difficult. Okay, so let's do a little process together. That's a healing process, I believe, for those aspects of ourselves that had to be cut off and hidden. For many of us, not having something accepted out there means it's also not accepted within ourselves. It becomes an exile inside. And for others, we were able to applaud and appreciate those aspects of ourselves, stand up. I have a right to be this way, but it meant having to lose connections with others. Okay, well, I want to invite you into an inner process, a focusing process that's connected to this topic here. So maybe just taking a little time to feel your body resting on what you're sitting on. Or you might be standing or lying down, that's okay too, but most people are sitting. And be aware of your body's contact on what you're sitting on, letting it support you. Letting yourself slow down to the pace of your body right now. And taking some time to feel your breathing. And letting your awareness come inward, so you're sensing also in the inner area of your body. That includes your throat, your chest, stomach and belly area. Just taking a little time to arrive within yourself and to say to yourself, I am here. So you are saying to yourself that you are here. I am here. And the I is the listener, the space, the self in presence. So you're making an invitation inside that whatever in you arrives, you will accept it. And so now that, based on what we've been talking about, take a little time to sense and remember what it is in you that you felt like you couldn't show to others. You felt like you weren't acceptable in some way. Or maybe you felt you were acceptable, but you knew others wouldn't think so. There might be feelings of different kinds, or thoughts and beliefs, ambitions, goals. Just taking a little time to sense at least something in you that you felt you had to hide. Just leaving a little time for that. Something about you that you'd better not show, or you were disapproved of for feeling or showing, or you were even punished perhaps for feeling it or showing it, or you were laughed at in school perhaps for that way of being. So now that we've got something, call it something in me. Like, I felt I have to hide. I felt I had to hide the something in me that is strong and capable, or is weak and vulnerable, or gets angry easily, or wants to fight, or wants to go my own way, or wants to go be by myself and not have to talk. Something in me like that. And now you say hello to that inside you. I'm saying hello to this something in me. Noticing that you can be a safe space for what feels hard or has felt hard to show to others. You can be a safe space for that. And you can say to that part of you, hello, I know you're there. And then sense what kind of contact or company it would like from you right now. And let that part of you tell you its story. You be the listener. What it's been like for whatever this is. Your creativity or your vulnerability or whatever it is. What it's been like for it to have to be covered up and hidden. Let it tell you about that. And you be the listener. And let it know you hear it. Some of us might even feel that it was my real self, my genuine self, that had to be hidden. Not necessarily any particular qualities, but simply who I really am. But now you're in contact, I hope, with the feel of what it's like to be who you really are, along with a kind of longing that there's a way that who you really are could live in the world. Let's see if that's true for you too. And then let it know you hear it, listening to what that's been like. And listening to the longing, wanting, hoping. What is it that would be great? How would this like to live in the world of others? Let it tell you. How would this ideally like to be met by other people? And if you can imagine what that would be like, if what's really true for you can be met by others in the way that it would ideally like, take a little time to do that. That might even feel good. Imagining, picturing yourself being met by others in the way that would really feel right. And maybe that even feels good. Or it might bring up feelings of sadness at that having been missing. And if that's true, sadness or something else, anger, other kinds of feelings are all welcome. You can always include that with I'm sensing something in me, feeling sad or angry that this didn't happen. And letting it know you hear that too. So we're going to bring this process to a gentle completion, bringing with us this felt quality of being able to create a safe space inside, a space where you can be with those places in you that have always wanted to be welcomed, including those feelings of longing to be met by others in just this way. Bringing this to a gentle completion with an inner thank you. And beginning to be aware around you again. And if your eyes were closed, letting your eyes come naturally open. And if you'd like to write in the chat something that would like to be shared with all of us, that would be great. Catherine writes, who I really am feels the need to stay hidden when not safe. Of course, of course. At the same time, I have many people with whom I'm able to be myself. So then it's a matter of discerning and guarding and being able to tell the difference, isn't it? Yeah. And Samira writes, something in me is scared, terrified of ridicule and criticism, and I'm sensing something in me anxious and panicked, heart racing. I hope you're able to be with that, Samira. It's panicked. It's putting racing in your heart, but you could put a gentle hand there and just say to it, I'm with you now. And the company it wants is to just be without any expectations. Beautiful. Hannah writes, something in me is very vulnerable and it felt good to be open to her. Yes. Those places in us that are vulnerable is one big type of experience that is often not permitted. Maybe we ourselves felt we had to protect what's vulnerable from other people. So notice how this experience that I'm showing you today is a step in being able to be ourselves with other people. What Catherine said is just right. We still need to discern where is a safe place. And yet our own reclaiming of our ability to be ourselves with others is so, so powerful. The primary relationship I can have is with myself. When I can have that relationship with myself, a relationship of welcome, of acceptance, that opens up the possibility of having that relationship with other people, even when they're very different from me. Helena wrote, there was profound sadness at first. I welcome it. Beautiful. That's great. Martha writes, I went deep and touched a very young place that needs to be held and seen and so on. Absolutely. You know, what's beautiful is we were all born needing to be held and seen. And some of us got those needs met more than others. And I bet nobody here got them completely met. And it's not too late. In a safe place, which I'm hoping this is for you, as much as a webinar can be, you can give to yourself that kind of company. So before we do our final exercise for today, that's about being annoyed with other people, I think you're going to find that one really cool. I just wanted to take this opportunity to tell you about the course that's coming up by the same name. I know some of you are interested in hearing about that course. And it is a place where I can give you a lot more support and we can go much further with some of the things we're talking about today. I'll just share about that a bit. So it's a live online course, and the course is from 3 to 5 Pacific time on Tuesdays, starting in 2 weeks. So 4 meetings. I'm really excited about how much we can do in 4 2-hour meetings. We'll meet on Zoom 2 hours a week for 4 weeks. I'm the teacher. And you also have my support between sessions by email and so on. Now, I've created 8 processes for the 4 weeks. So exercise 1 is your issues concerning other people. We'll have a look at what they are and get a feeling for the breadth of different possibilities there are in the class. And by the way, that will be a meeting, not a webinar. So the people in the class get to see each other. And I do prefer that. And then in the second exercise, we're going to explore how we were ready to be treated by other people, all the way back to when we first came into being. And we're still ready to be treated by other people that way. And if it didn't happen, how that is something that is coming to us now for healing. Exercise 3 is about people you wish would change. Well, we're going to do a version of that in a minute. And then we're going to go into other people's feelings. When other people are angry or sad or depressed. Oh, I've sometimes had the hardest time when people around me are depressed. And how we can both be connected to and separate from the other people in our life that have feelings that may be challenging for us to be around. And then we're going to do 2 exercises on other people's reactions to us. So the first one is on other people's positive reactions, getting a compliment, getting appreciation, getting positive feedback. How is that for you? Is it ever difficult? And then other people's negative reactions, criticism, judgment, negative feedback. How is that for you? Can I be myself and let the other person have their opinions? Can I know how I'm valuable separately from how they think about me and yet stay connected to them? It's an interesting process. And finally, in our 4th class, we're going to directly move into the question, can I be me with you? And then how to move forward from here in relationships with other people and ourselves. So, what about feeling annoyed, driven crazy, or bugged by other people? Uh, See, if this was a meeting and I could see you, you could raise your hands. Well, you could probably raise your hands now. Is there a raise hand thing on your console? How many people ever feel annoyed or bugged or bothered or driven crazy by other people? Just go ahead and raise your hand. There we go. Yes. Wow. And a lot of, you can also hit the reaction button. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, so you've got somebody in mind. Let's take one. Somebody drives you crazy. I never have a problem picking the star, the chief infuriator in my life is my sweetheart, who for the last 2.5 years I've been with pretty constantly. And I love him. And sometimes he drives me crazy. And that is such a rich source of self-discovery and healing, which can become relational healing as well. So think of that person, best if it's somebody you feel close to. I mean, we also might be annoyed by some commentator we see on the news or somebody off in some other country or etc. But I think this exercise works best if you pick somebody you're close to, a colleague at work, boss, employee, person in your original family, somebody you live with, a close person, right? And then see if you can pick something they do that drives you crazy. From somebody you live with, leaving the dishes out all night, throwing their coat on the floor. My favorite infuriator in chief likes to ask me late at night for tech support. So you've got the person and you've got something they do that drives you crazy. Okay. So now let's take a moment. Pause, sense how you are. Sense your body supported by the chair, because this is going to be another inner sensing process and may even get you in touch with something deep. We'll see. So that person does something, has done something, usually does something that you wish they wouldn't do, or says something. And maybe you're thinking of an instance of that. And just pause and get in touch with yourself, with your body, feeling your throat and chest and stomach. And we're going to use the language of, I am sensing something in me, to acknowledge the place in you that is annoyed, bothered, upset, irritated. Find the right word that really fits for you. So let's pause and do that. I am sensing something in me feeling about the other person doing that. Fill in the word. Okay. I am sensing something in me feeling infuriated when he asks for tech support late at night. I already felt better just saying that. Notice how you feel. It's an acknowledgement. And now say to that part of you, yes, I know. I hear you. So that part has these feelings, annoyed, angry, irritated, and you, bigger you, let it know you hear it. Okay. So the next step is we're going to have you sense what it is wanting or not wanting when the other person does that. Let's start with not wanting. What is it not wanting about them doing that? Takes a little time. There's not a quick answer, which is good. I notice that my quick answer is something like, well, it's late at night and I need to settle down to sleep. And so, but that's not, then I pause and I can feel that's not what it really is. That's not what really bothers me about it. So this is more about what asking that place inside, what really bothers you about it? It may be because there's a value that you hold or a need that you have. Just listen. Take a little time. What bothers me? What do I not want from that happening? And for me, what comes is I feel like he is drawing on me to give to him. There's something about feeling it's one way or being afraid it's going to be one way. And so it's not so much that he asks me for it, but there's a tone when he asks me for it. It's something like he can't do it himself. And so this is what it's like. I don't quite know. I can't quite put it into words, but there's something to explore there. And then the next step is when you get what it's not wanting. Something like not wanting to be called on as an expert when I want this relationship to be mutual. Notice how some wanting has started to come. Notice if that's true for you, that as you sit with what bothers you about that, you may also be getting in touch with wanting, what it wants for you. What this place, the one that's annoyed, wants for you instead. Often when we're annoyed, it's because there's something missing, something that would feel more right. And you can ask inside, is there something missing? Yeah, and I'm realizing there's a kind of mutuality that's missing that I hadn't quite realized before. And next we can ask, so what about that would feel good or right? If I could have mutuality, what would that be like? Or whatever your wanting is, if you could have that, what might that be like? And just acknowledging that. So let's complete this process now. We've started with just an ordinary feeling of being annoyed at another person. And we've seen how that can become something to be acknowledged inside, something to be respected and valued in ourselves. It's pointing to something, pointing to a place where something's missing and where there's a knowing that something else would be more right. So before we stop, maybe just pause and acknowledge all that. What you've learned, what you've discovered, and the sense that there's more there, which I'm sure there is, can also be something to acknowledge and come back to. And you may want to thank your body, thank your process, and be aware again outside yourself, looking around at the room around you. Here I am, here and now. And here we are. How was that? Wonder if people have something to share about a discovery or something that brought a question, maybe some trouble that you had with the process that you'd like to ask about. Tracy says, thank you, body, and thank you, Anne. My pleasure. So much richness inside us. And this is what I'm saying is that our relationships with other people have richness for us. And one of the things that happens with me when I start with the way I'm annoyed with someone else is I can even realize that the very thing I'm annoyed with that person for is something that I'm doing as well. I remember the time I was annoyed with Joe for not going to his doctor often enough. And then I paused and I said to myself, wait a minute, am I going to my doctor often enough? What are people saying here? I discovered that my annoyance is also my genuine concern for my spouse's health and long-term well-being. Oh, beautiful. Very nice. Helena writes, I finally give voice to something that's been very, very buried. Dahlia said, I found that I'm longing for some kind of twinship, friendship with someone like me. Oh, isn't that beautiful? I wonder if anybody has a question about the course. There was a question about the course, the 4-week course, whether that it doesn't have partnerships. We don't have assigned partner exercises that meet between the weeks. We do have breakout groups, which I prefer to call connection rooms. So breakout, I'd rather call them connection rooms so that you have a place in the class to share some of what's been coming with other people. And there's also a place to share with me. And I feel like as we go along, we're going to have a beautiful exploration of this whole area. I'm looking forward to it a lot because I feel like I always learn so much when I teach something like this. Another question about the course, is it a problem if I can't make the first meeting? No, all the meetings are recorded. And in fact, some people may take the course and not actually be live in attendance. And that would be okay, because everything will be recorded. There's a handout. The handout contains the complete exercises plus background material that helps make sense of what we're doing. And there's also a forum, so that if you don't get a chance in class to share what came in the exercise, you can share it in the forum. So it is possible to even take the course remotely. Super. People are writing in the chat about being happy to be in the course and looking forward to it. One of them just signed up. Yes, beautiful. So nice. Well, lovely to be with you today. And I'm just pausing to ask myself if there's something more I'd like to leave you with. Do you remember what I said early on? You were born lovable. That's my attitude. Every single person on this earth was born lovable. And things happened, but we all still have that in us. And it's a life force, your beautiful life, not the same as anybody else's. And one of my missions is to help everybody fall in love with themselves. And in this course, we'll see if we can understand how you can be in love with yourself and still feel in relationship with others who have all kinds of feelings about you and themselves. And we're going to face that paradox together. So, yes, so much fun. All right, my dears, thank you so much. Always a delight. See you later.